But off a somber note, we're going to go ahead and talk about Kobe's career in retrospect a little bit. We all knew him from the kid in high school coming from Philadelphia to LA. He was drafted 13th overall in the first round in 1996 by the Charlotte Hornets. The Lakers acquired him shortly thereafter by trading their then star center, Vlade Divac, and that was a pretty controversial move considering they had not already traded for Shaquille O'Neal at that point. They were in talks. Jerry West, the then Lakers GM, was very much in talks with Shaq's camps about signing him as a free agent from the Orlando Magic, but that hadn't happened yet. So the Lakers went about their business and they traded their star center, who had been with them since the Showtime era, well, the end of the Showtime era, the Magic Johnson era for sure, Vlade Divac. They traded him to the Charlotte Hornets in return for the 18-year-old sensation Kobe Bryant. But as we all know, the Lakers eventually end up acquiring Shaquille O'Neal, and then they're off to the races. But it's not all rainbows and sunshine. We all remember the air balls in Utah, Kobe's rookie year in the playoffs, and the years following that, it just didn't seem like the Lakers were gelling right together. They had Kobe, who was on the rise. He was already an all-star by 1998, alongside Shaq and Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones. Jones and Van Exel would eventually be off the team by 1999, but it just didn't feel like there was anything that was going to bring the Lakers to their ultimate success. You know, they had gotten to the Western Conference Finals in 1998. They ended up firing their head coach, Del Harris, and we didn't know if the Lakers were going to be able to reach the promised land. But fortunately for the Lakers, the Zen Master Phil Jackson was leaving Chicago, who had come off of 6 NBA championships with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and he was ready to come to LA and bring championships to LA, and that's exactly what happened. We all know the success that happened with Phil, Kobe, and Shaq, the three-peat era, and it was really like something that, you know, Lakers fans, obviously we were basking in the glory of those days, but it was Shaquille O'Neal's team. It wasn't Kobe Bryant's team at that point. And, you know, the years that they were in the finals winning championships, it was really something that Kobe Bryant felt like he had to not only prove to himself, but prove to everybody else that he was capable of winning a championship on his own. Yeah, he loved winning championships with Shaq, but there was a lot of freaking grief that was happening with him and Shaq in the process, and he felt like, you know, in order to fulfill his own goals and aspirations, he wanted to win a championship, multiple championships, as the undisputed leader of the team. And you know, the first three, it was no doubt it was Shaq, because he was the Finals MVP in all of those series, and it was Shaq's team. You know, obviously you still had guys that were Kobe guys, but majority of those guys on the three-peat era of the Lakers, guys like Robert Horry, Rick Fox, they were Shaquille O'Neal guys. And obviously, the beef between Shaq and Kobe is well documented, and it's just something that people ask all the time. Could they have won more championships together if they were on the same page? And I truly believe, honestly, yeah, I think they could have. If they really decided to put their differences aside and come together as the both of them could. I mean, look what happened. Look at what happened. Shaq ended up being traded to Miami. He won a championship with Dwayne Wade, right? It was only one championship, but he was able to still be the second banana on a championship team in 2006. Kobe was entering his prime, right, or in the middle of his prime, and he was a scoring renegade and a top defensive player. I mean, this guy was, if not the best player in the NBA, he was top 1, 2, or 3, at least in that time frame. So Kobe was able to lead, you know, and that's where Kobe Bryant, he was going from the kid that was rebellious and wanted to do things his own way into becoming more of a leader in himself. So I believe that during that time, from like 2004, 2005, 2006, maybe 7, yeah, they could have won more championships together if they stayed together. But that ultimately was not the path. Shaq went to Miami. He won a title in 06. Kobe, he had some lean years with the Lakers there, 05, 06, 07. But eventually they traded for Pau Gasol, and they ended up winning 2 more championships in the Kobe, Gasol, Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum, Phil Jackson era. I mentioned Kobe becoming more of a leader just a second ago, and I want to touch on that just a little bit more because during that time, he really developed his own leadership style. Yeah, in the early 2000s, he really emulated and tried to be like Michael Jordan. And, you know, obviously it's well documented how Jordan would just berate into people, his teammates, cuss him up a storm. And that was basically Jordan's aggressive leadership style. And Kobe, he emulated Jordan, and anything Jordan did, he wanted to copy. And so that's what Kobe did in his early years. And it did, little bits of that did stick with Kobe towards, all of his career. Especially, I think it kind of reared its ugly head towards the last few seasons of Kobe's career because of who he had. But his leadership style developed right around that 2006, 2007 era for a couple reasons. He looked at what Shaquille O'Neal was doing in Miami. Shaq had already won a championship, and Kobe was forced to look at himself in the mirror. If I want to win a championship, I need to be able to understand who my teammates are. And yeah, I can get away with berating some of them, but not all of them. And it's not gonna work with everybody. And I think also having Derek Fisher back on his side in 2008 helped with that too, because it was another proven guy, a leader on the team that could help Kobe lead his teammates. But Kobe was forced to look at himself in the mirror and say, I need to change up my style just a tad, because it straight up wasn't working during that time. I think also too, Team USA for Kobe, it really benefited him so much. Not really in terms of basketball, but leadership. I think he was around coaches like Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K. He was around coaches like Greg Popovich, but also he was around the best of the best: LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Dwight Howard, Darren Williams at that time. Who else was on that Team USA team in '08? Carmelo Anthony, Jason Kidd. All these guys that were just veterans of the NBA, but the best of the best. And Kobe needed to be able to say, hey, look, if I'm the best player in the NBA, which he was, I need to be able to prove it not just on the court, but in the locker room as well. And he was able to lead these guys to a Olympic gold medal in '08. And I think that really did wonders for getting Kobe to become the leader he was, or at least he could be, in terms of being able to lead a team to championships. And it all paid off. Just a year later, in 2009, Kobe was able to lead a young team with Pau Gasol, but Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom, Trevor Ariza to the 2009 NBA championship and be the undisputed leader of that team, alongside Derek Fisher. But that was an amazing accomplishment for Kobe, because that was getting him, over the mountaintop, and be able to prove to himself that he was able to lead a team to a championship and get him his 4th title. And then going back to back in 2010, beating the Celtics, who the Celtics whooped on the Lakers in 2008. They whooped on them, right? And that's where Kobe was able to. I think he needed to look at himself in the mirror and say, "Look, if I need to get these guys over the path, I need to change my leadership style as well." And so in 2010, Kobe Bryant, in Game 7 especially, Kobe Bryant was not having a great game, but he was able to trust the process, trust his players that they were able to come through, and that's the leadership style that I'm talking about. He was able to trust that Ron Artest was going to hit that shot. He was able to trust that Pau Gasol was going to be able to be physically able to go up against the guys like Kevin Garnett and Rasheed Wallace. He trusted his players at that point. He trusted Sasha Vujacic to hit that clutch free throw at the end of Game 7. And, like I said, Kobe Bryant did not have a great game in that Game 7, but he was able to do the intangibles: rebound, defend, everything that you would need of a leader. And that's who Kobe Bryant became.